You ready, dude?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for attending. It's our second workshop in Developer DAO, made possible by Ropats. So give him some kudos when you get a chance. I think there's been a lot of demand for these kind of things to happen in the DAO for a long time, and Ropats finally wrapped his arms around it and has got it rolling nicely. There's others in the schedule that are coming already and more interest, so keep an eye out for them. But this week we are blessed with the presence of Dhaitwat. How you doing, Dhaitwat?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome, mate. Thank you very much for coming through and giving the presentation. In case anyone missed it, Dhaitwat's actually on holiday in Bali, and this is the first thing he's doing on holiday, so mad respect. Good stuff. Okay, cool. So let Dhaitwat introduce himself in a sec. His workshop today is going to be on permanently deploying decentralized React front ends to Arweave, and I understand he's going to walk you through an example of how to do that. But Dhaitwat, welcome, mate. If you want to introduce yourself and off you go.
Sure, thanks. So hey everyone, I'm Dhaitwat. I've been a part of DD since I guess September. A lot of what I learned about Web3 is because of Developer DAO and the people in this DAO. So I'm very happy that I I could get to a place where I can actually give a workshop in Developer DAO. It's a huge honor. So thanks for having me. Um, Currently, I am a DevRel at Anchor. Lot of my work revolves around building dev tools and educating people about them, and that's what we are going to do today. Um, I would just like to briefly run you through how to deploy React frontends to Arweave because I think it's an area that not a lot of people explore, but I find it really cool. Uh, so yeah, I'm super excited about this workshop. You want me to go ahead, Cam?
Yeah, go for it, man. Great info. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So, is anyone speaking?
I muted the man. It's cool. Go for it.
Cool. So this workshop is actually something that I've written about already. I'll publish a link to these slides later on, but there's a written guide that you can follow just in case you aren't able to follow along with me right now. But we are going to be talking about front ends, of course, websites and why it is different, uh, deploying them to Arweave and why you should consider doing that. Um, so first of all, let's just start with what we have today. The most common tech stack in Web3, in Web2 for any front end dev is Vercel plus Next.js. Uh, they have the best developer experience. It's the easiest way to get started with a React app, and it's the most sensible choice for all projects, even most of the Web3 projects. But Vercel and Next.js come with their own limitations. There's trade-offs, of course, and when you are creating something for Web3, let's say you are working on Uniswap, like a decentralized exchange of some sort, and you want to make sure that it's fully like as decentralized as possible. It can never be fully decentralized, but if you want to make sure it's as decentralized as possible, well, your smart contracts are already deployed to the blockchain, so that's pretty decentralized. But what about your UI? Your UI is not deployed to a network. It's just deployed. It's just hosted by a centralized provider like Vercel, right? And that's kind of the problem I want to talk about today and how it often gets neglected. I also want to preface this with the fact that this is not going to be useful for most of your projects. Most projects don't actually need this level of protection for your UIs. But again, like I said, uh, in cases where decentralization is absolutely necessary, you want as much decentralization as you want. Um, uh, uh, in those cases, you can go one step ahead and look at something like Arweave. So I guess what I'm gonna do next is I'll just briefly run you through the downsides of using something like Vercel and Next.js for a Web3 front end uh, when you want as much decentralization as possible, and how Arweave is different. Um, so before we do that, Arweave, what even is Arweave? Of course, you can go to their website if you want to do a deep dive. It's arweave.org. But Arweave is, in very simple terms, it's a network that lets you store data permanently um, in a decentralized way. Um, and as a matter of fact, you can also host websites to it because you can just convert your React front end to an index.html file and a JavaScript file, and that's what we will be doing. Um, so now let's look at the difference between hosting something on Vercel and hosting something on Arweave. I'm just gonna use Excali Draw. So pardon my drawing skills. I'm going to be using my touchpad, but that's the best I have right now. Um, okay. So when you're using Vercel, let's see if I can draw. Okay, so when you're using Vercel, they have a bunch of servers in their data centers and whatnot. I think they actually use Amazon AWS. So they have a bunch of servers that they own. And when you deploy a website to Vercel, I guess this is your website. When you deploy it, it gets stored in one of these servers. And Vercel has full access to all of these servers, all of these databases, all of these data centers. So when you deploy a website to Vercel, they call the shots. I mean, Vercel, I have nothing against Vercel. I'm just using them as an example. And they've not actually done this before, but just hypothetically, if Vercel for some reason doesn't like you, they can in theory just shut down your website and it won't be hosted anymore. People won't be able to access your UI because it's Vercel. They have full control over what gets stored on their data centers or on their platform, right? They can practically deplatform you, and of course you can switch to another provider, but like it's the same problem over and over again. People can deplatform you without giving you an explanation. They don't owe you an explanation. Now the difference with Arweave or a network like Arweave, it's not just Arweave, but like a network like Arweave is they have a bunch of nodes in their network which will store when you upload something to Arweave. Uh, let's say this is your website. You want to upload it to Arweave. When you push it to Arweave, uh, it gets replicate. I don't want to go as far as saying it gets replicated amongst all the nodes, but um, I would say all the nodes on the network will know about it. So it's not like some centralized entity controlling whether your website stays on the network or not. There's no single entity that controls whether your website stays hosted or not. And another cool thing about Arweave is that it's permanent. When you upload something to Arweave, it stays there forever. Um, and this is actually one of the coolest things I found out about Arweave. And it's actually in my article. So I have mentioned a live deployed page for the demo. As you can see, there's this link to basically an Arweave transaction. This is the transaction ID, I guess. Um, and this link will always point to my website. This is my website actually that I deployed to Arweave, and it will always stay the same. It will never change. And this is something that I'm always fascinated by. Uh, so again, just to recap, Vercel or any centralized hosting provider, they control whether your website goes on the platform in the first place, and they can take it down anytime they want. Arweave or any network like that, um, anyone can store anything they want on the network. Um, it stays there forever without anyone's permission, and it's permanent. So this URL will always point to what this deployment. So it won't change. This URL will always look like this. Cool. So that's the main difference between deploying it to Vercel and Arweave. Um, Another thing I want to address is Next.js. Uh, we'll actually be using Vite instead of Next.js, as I am mentioning in this my article as well. The thing about Next.js is you might already know this if you have used it a lot, is that it's just a server that serves web pages. It's not the other way around. So it has server side rendering by default. So if you want to host a Next.js app as it is without making any drastic changes, you need a server, and there's a server involved. Things get a little tricky, and I'm gonna go back to Excalidraw to explain why I think involving servers is not a good idea in most cases. Um, so imagine this is your browser. Um, there's some website. Um, with Next.js, there's always going to be uh, a server involved that serves this web page to you. Now, as a consumer, you don't know what's going on inside of this server. You have no idea. There's no way for you to know uh, what's the source code that server is running, what's it doing with your data, um, and all that. Uh, there's no way for you to know what's going on inside of that. It's the black box, and this is what Next.js is, and it it improves your website's performance in a lot of cases, and you have very good reason to use it in a lot of cases. But imagine if you're building something like a decentralized exchange or something like that, you don't want a server to intervene. You don't want to trust anyone. So basically, in a trustless environment, in a permissionless environment, everything should happen on the client in your browser. There should be no servers involved. Everything should be happening inside of your browser so that you can actually see what's happening if you want to. Um, and no one is like messing around with your data or anything like that. That's just like a very brief overview of the entire problem. But that's the reason why uh, we will not be using Next.js, because uh, it's a server. We don't If it's a server, it's not really decentralized. Um, well, there are ways to make it decentralized, but that's another workshop for another time. Um,
Dhaitwat,
so in this case, yeah,
do you want to take questions as you go, mate? A couple have popped into the chat about Arweave.
sure,
You want me to read them out,
sure,
or are you going to check?
yeah.
Okay.
Can anyone be a node for Aweave? I'm actually not sure about that. Uh, Arweave can host anything. It doesn't only host websites. It can host images. It can host, I think, any type of files. Yeah.
I'm going to
Um,
chime in. You can be a miner for Arweave. If you look at the docs, you can be a miner for it as well.
cool. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, Diego. It's Yes, Scott. You can actually, like I said, if you make some adjustments, you can make Next.js import static pages. But again, it's not built for static, like building static sites. I think their unique selling point is their API routes and all that support, the server side rendering support. So that's why I highly recommend just using something that's specifically built for building static sites, which is I think I'm gonna use Vite. Of course, you can use other frameworks as well. Um, so yeah, are there any other questions? Um, what's the benefit of hosting in Arweave instead of IPFS? I think Phil will take care of that. Yeah, one-time payment for starters. That's a good one. Okay, I've done. If there aren't other questions, I'll just go. So, um, we won't be using Next.js. We'll be using Vite. Vite is super fast a way to build React or Vue or all sorts of different apps. It's just a build tool. We'll be using it with React. Think of it as like just another way of building React websites. It's not nothing too complicated. If you have used Create React app before, might feel somewhat similar in the uh, uh, with the file structure and everything. Um, but the key difference between Vite and Next.js is that Vite uh, is heavily focused on client side rendering. By default, everything in Vite is sorry, everything in Vite runs on the client. Everything runs in so there is no server side rendering by default. You can add it, but it's very experimental right now. So we'll be using Vite. We'll be creating a React app with Vite. It's going to be look something like this, just like a connect button from Rainbow Kit. You can connect your wallet, and it will be deployed to Arweave to a URL permanently. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll actually be building a React app. We'll see how you can set up everything so that you can deploy your bundle your website properly, and then send it to Arweave. You'll need some funds for that. So I'll also show you how you can grab those funds, those testnet funds. Well, it's not actually a testnet; it's a live net, but you get them for free. So cool. If anyone wants to follow along, you can just yeah, just open up a terminal and follow along with me. I think I should increase the font size a little bit. And yeah, I'm just gonna run yarn create Vite. This is going to create a new Vite.js project. Um, it's going to yeah, it's not going to take long. I'm just gonna name this. This is your project's name. Name it whatever you want, and then select React. Again, React. The next thing is of course to install the dependencies. So cd into your project, um, run yarn to install the dependencies. Um, awesome. So now if we open a project in VS Code, we should have like a very simple React app setup. Um, let's actually run this. I'm gonna run yarn dev, and it's gonna open the app on localhost 5173. Let's see what it looks like. So yeah, it's just like a counter app with nothing else in it. Um, so what we are going to do next is just to add Rainbow Kit. If you haven't heard of Rainbow Kit, it's a very simple way to add a connect wallet button to your React apps. So just go to this link. I'll paste it in the chat if you want to follow along. Um, and I'm just going to follow the instructions on this page because they are very straightforward, and I just there's no point in remembering them. I always copy and paste it. So I'll install the dependencies first. We are installing, of course, Rainbow Kit, WagMe, and Ethers. You can read more about these libraries. Uh, uh, they have linked it here. But WagMe is a really cool React package that lets you do lots of different things around. interacting with smart contracts, handling wallet connect. It's a bunch of React hooks, super useful. So check that out if you want to. Um, but for now, I'm just going to add these packages. While that gets installed, let's copy and paste this code snippet inside of our project's root, which in this case will be main.jsx. If you are familiar with create React app, this would be index.jsx, and if you're more of a Next.js person, this would be underscore app.jsx. That this is basically the equivalent of that. Um, I don't want the default CSS, so I'm gonna remove that. And I'm gonna copy and paste the next code snippet. All of this is just setting up Rainbow Kit and letting it know what chains you want to use, what RPC you want to use, what's the name of your app, and then setting up FAGME. Uh, we don't have an Alchemy ID with us right now, so we will remove that. And this is not because I work for Anchor, by the way. I actually don't have an Alchemy ID with me right now. Uh, and then copy and paste the next code snippet. Uh, um, and this is so frustrating. I have to do this every single time. You just cannot copy and paste it. Uh, cool. Hopefully the dependencies have been installed. Okay. And as you can see, you can just add a connect button with one line of code, which is so cool. And we'll do that inside of our app.jsx. This is like your index.jsx in Next.js. We don't need any of this. We don't need the default CSS. We don't need the counter. We don't need anything. We're going to remove every single thing and just add the connect button. We don't even need this class name. And if we go back to our app on localhost, um, yeah. So this is what it should look like. It's just a wallet connect button. You can disconnect, connect your wallet. Yeah, as simple as that. We won't be adding anything else because essentially the thing we want to focus on having like a Web3 element, deploying it to Arweave. That's our focus for today. So we won't be adding any more source code. Uh, Now, how do we how do we actually deploy this to Arweave? How do we connect to Arweave? How do we build this app properly? That's what we'll look into next. But I guess I'll take a pause and see if there are any questions. um, okay. You're saying something, Cam?
Yeah, I had one from before, mate. When you were sharing the domain where your app was deployed, it was like arweave.net/random hash. What happens if Arweave take down arweave.net?
So I guess in that case, you can use another gateway. Uh, I think arweave.net is just a gateway like ipfs.infura.io. So I guess the thing we want to wait. So I guess in this case, this is the hash, right? Uh, so you'll always have the transaction ID with you. So as long as someone on this planet has a copy of the Arweave network stored on their computer, you can still access your content using that pointer. So in our case, that would be the transaction ID. Um, Wait, where was it? Yeah. So this transaction ID, I think, as long as you have that, you will always be able to access your website. You just have, of course, it would be a little more difficult because the default gateway will be down. Uh, but it's not inaccessible.
Cool. So
I guess
the redundancy is like the redundancy you get in Ethereum, right? Like if as long as there's people running nodes, then it will exist.
yeah.
Yeah.
I at least that's my understanding. I guess if Phil is still here, maybe he can fill in. But yeah, that's my understanding from what I've heard about Arweave.
And just one other question, not to hog the mic, but are you using the browser company on this?
Yeah,
Oh mate, I've got so much
yeah.
FOMO. Sorry.
Yeah, it's really cool. They have some nice little features like you can take notes and everything. Super cool. I'll show you around. It's really nice. Cool. I almost forgot what we are going to do next. Okay, we are going to talk about how we can actually connect to our Weave and deploy our site. Um, so as you can see in my written article, there are a bunch of things we need to change in our configuration in our app. So we need to change two files. Uh, I guess I should increase the font size. Apologies for that. Um, so there's this read.config.js file. Again, if you have used Next.js before, that's the equivalent of the next.config.js file. These are some framework specific configurations. I have the React plugin in place because we are using React. So we'll need to make like tiny adjustments to this file and our package.json file. And once we do that, we should basically be ready to go. Uh, so the only thing we need to add to this file is this field called base and set that to uh, an empty string, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, just set that to an empty string. Um, why do we need to do this? I'm not 100% sure. Because like if you are not deploying this to Arweave, let's say I just want to deploy this to a cell or something, it works without having to include this field. I guess it's very specific when you are serving static pages or something. But from my research, and I had to like talk to a bunch of people about this, like how do you deploy something to Arweave which is using Vite. I actually talked to the founders of Spheron. They are a platform that lets you deploy things to Arweave and IPFS, just like Vercel. So they have CI/CD, but for Arweave and IPFS. They are super cool. You should definitely check that out. I just want to give a huge shout out to them because they helped me figure out a lot of this. It's Spheron.network. Super cool. Check this out. But yeah, so we need to add this to make this work. And in your package.json, we need to add this field called homepage. Uh, and this should be uh, pointing to like dot slash, which is like the root of your project. And once we do that, um, I guess that's it. The next thing we want to do is actually install the Arweave CLI. Uh, and yeah, we need to install this Arweave CLI. So when you want to deploy something to Arweave, you need a wallet, just like you need a wallet to deploy something to Ethereum. You need some funds so that you can pay fees to miners and everything. Uh, so to do that, we can use this CLI tool that Arweave has. I already have it installed, but you can install it by running this command. It's called Arweave deploy. Um, Once you have run this, you can verify that it's actually been installed by running Arweave-v. Um, so once that's in place, all you need to do is add this script to your packet.json. Uh, if we zoom in a little bit, all this is doing is it's first building your Vite app. So it's taking all of your JavaScript, all of your Vite.js code, not Vite.js code, but React.js code, and compiling it to an HTML file and a JavaScript, and shifting that to a folder called dist. And the next thing this script does is use the Arweave CLI to deploy the dist folder. And the interesting part is this: it uses a wallet.json file. This file will contain your seed phrase for your Arweave wallet. Uh, so be very careful with that. I'll show you just in a second how you can actually get your own Arweave wallet and everything. But I already have it. Uh, so so if you want to follow along, just copy and paste this from my article. Um, I guess I haven't posted a link to my article, so I'll do that as well. Um, and I'm just gonna copy and paste this and add it to the list of my script in package.json. This will just like let us run this one script so that we can just run yarn deploy, and this will let us deploy to RV. But before I do that, I want to show you how you can actually get uh, your own wallet. So to do that, I think you need to go to uh, their faucet, which is faucet.arweave.net. Uh, Go to this link and just click through the entire wizard. Uh, just click continue, and I think it will ask you your identity. And once you do that, you should receive some test funds. Uh, and it will also give you also let you download your wallet. So like I mentioned in my article, when it says this, make sure you download your wallet. It will be a JSON file, which is what we will use to deploy your app. So your JSON file is your seed phrase. uh, Basically, if that's a correct analogy. So it when someone has that JSON file, they have access to your funds. Uh, that's why the CLI will deploy the app on your behalf. Um, I already have that, so I'm just gonna copy and paste my seed phrase to the projects directory. Um, gonna open this in the Explorer and paste it. Uh, but make sure you don't push this to GitHub. So add this to your git ignore, add wallet.json to your git ignore. You don't want this to be public. It's literally a seed phrase. So once that's done, uh, all we need to run is yarn deploy. And if we did everything correctly, this should work. So let's see. So it's building our app right now. As you can see, it's pointing to index.html, and apparently it has like 24 files, which is a lot. But if we open our disk folder, we should find 23 different files. So yeah, I think that's just a Rainbow Kit and WagMe for different wallets. But yeah, it's deploying this, trying to deploy this entire disk folder. This folder contains the source code for your entire website, which can be served fully statically in someone's browser without you needing any servers. Cool. And it will also show you the total size of the deployment, which in this case is 1.5 MBs, which is a little too much. But that's the state of Web3 right now. Uh, can't optimize for speed always. This is the cost in Arweave tokens. AR stands for the Arweave token. It is native currency of the Arweave network. Um, and this is your wallet address. This is my this is my wallet address. This is my current balance, and this will be my balance after I upload this. Uh, I think the file size might be because I'm running at the same time. So I'm just gonna try and close this and try this again. Gonna try that deploy again. See if it makes a difference. Uh, no, it doesn't. Anyways, um, so it will ask you to type confirm in all caps because you are spending real money. Um, So once you type confirm, it will start uploading all of those files to Arweave, and it will kind of bundle them together so they kind of all point to each other. So index.html will be able to point to all of your JavaScript files uh, without a problem. Basically, that's why we are using this CLI. Uh, while this gets uploaded, I want to show you some tools that let you upload files to Arweave. individual files or files in batches. Our drive is pretty cool. Uh, if you want to check this out to upload images and all that. Bundler is not really a platform, but it's a nice way to interact with Aweave. Ropats has written a great article on how you can use it. Phil has some. Phil has a great article as well. Um, so I highly recommend checking out. But in the meanwhile, our website has been deployed. Our files have been mined into Box, and they will be available on this URL. Let's see if it's already live. It is. That's a connect wallet button, and I should be able to connect my wallet. I'm just gonna paste this link, well, not this one, this one. And there we go. We just deployed a React app to our Weave, which will always live there on this URL. Um, oh, that's pretty cool. You actually followed along. Nice. That's super cool. Uh, how do I connect a domain to it? Um, so Zerion actually does this for you if you want to use that. But if you don't want to use a platform, I guess you can forward. Wait, this could be a tricky, right? That's a good question, actually. Um,
You can do it.
because
Sorry, Dara.
yeah, go ahead, Phil.
You can do it with perma pages. It's a new. It's like in beta still, but someone made it recently. And what you can do is you can either create a markdown file and point it to a specific, like Dhaitwat.arweave.dev, or you can pass a transaction ID into it, which will route that endpoint or that URL to Dhaitwat's Connect Wallet button. You know what I mean? I'm going to try and do it now so I can show you guys just an idea of how it works. So give me a sec.
That's a really good, yeah, that's a good way to go about it. But I guess what I want to understand as well, and this is a question that I have had, is let's say I have this domain, I have a domain, Dhaitwat.xyz. Um, what if I want to point this to an Aweave deployment? How do I do that? So I have deployed something to Aweave, I guess at this link. Is there a way for me to uh, show that on pivot.xyz?
Yeah, I'm not too well versed with the URLs yet. The only way I've done it is through perma pages. But I'll look into it.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I guess I'll also ask this Freedom guys because they do this on their platform. I'm pretty sure, and it will be super cool to have the DD website deployed on our Weave, right? If it's all static, I would be super down to help with that. I'm sure Phil can help as well.
Stinks of an issue, Mulford, that we should create.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. That was deploying a React frontend to our Weave.
Amazing, man. Loved it. Thought you did really, really well.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, it makes complete sense now. I was kind of black boxing it before. Has anyone got any questions for Dhaitwat? Or were there any questions that weren't answered? I can see one in the chat from I'm not going to try Sondum, which is if I deploy my next, as in if I deploy another version of the front end, will it end up on a different URL?
Yeah, it will. Each time you deploy, even if it's the same source code, each time you run, in this case, yarn deploy, which is like, or whatever your deployment script is, it will create a new deployment. It will be a new transaction on the network. So yeah, it will be different. And I guess that's um, I think that can actually be very useful for something like I keep going back to the example of a decentralized exchange because let's say there is a vulnerability in uh, a specific version of the UI. Uh, uh, you can always like make a new deployment and upload a new version so people know that this is not this is not the same code. I guess that's not a great example, but I guess what I'm trying to say is if you have different URLs for all the different iterations of your UI, if there's an exploit, the exploit is limited to that particular deployment. I don't really know how to explain it better than that. I'll try to come up with a better example and send it to you. Um, but yeah, I think the fact that it's permanent and it's always there. So once you deploy it, it's not going to change at that URL. That's very powerful for security reasons as well.
Is there any, like, thinking about that use case, mate? Like, that makes total sense to me, right? There's like an exploit on Uniswap, and the Arweave backup is also part of it, and you can deploy a new one. Is there any way to take down the old one if you're the person that deployed it, or is it literally there forever once you've deployed it?
I think it just stays there forever. Yeah, I don't think you can take it down. Am I right, Phil?
Reach out. Like if you hit up every node provider that's hosting it, you could probably get them to take it down. But yeah, it's up there, pretty concrete.
Yeah, it's just like trying to delete a smart contract. Like you, um, I guess you can self-destruct a smart contract, but like if you wanted to transaction from blockchain, let's say, you'd have to reach out to the majority of all the node providers on Ethereum, which is like if you can do that, you can probably remove it, but that's the task in itself.
Sweet, man. Have you got like next steps in your learning for Arweave, like stuff that you want to like think about or look at next?
Yeah, I actually want to learn how to set up, and this is something that anyone who followed along can do as well, is to try to set up GitHub Actions. So what we just ran manually from the command line, uh, you try to create a GitHub action for that. So each time you push new code, you deploy a new version to Arweave and try linking that to a domain. That could be pretty cool. Uh, we should check out. We should definitely check out what Phil is doing with smart contracts on Arweave as well. I want to look into that as soon as I can because I didn't know you could have smart contracts on Arweave, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. On that comment that you said, like I'm imagining, like on a like if we made a permanent version backup or whatever of the developer DAO website, like I'm picturing like a button in the top right of the website or something that says like view this on Arweave, and like maybe you could. Is there a way you could like update that link every time you did a deploy? I wonder.
Yeah, I think you can. You just have to write some automation, but you should be able to. Yeah, seems possible. It could be a cool little project.
I feel like you could like link the project to its own smart contract that updates the transaction ID every time. It'd definitely be a robust process at the moment, but possible.
Nice. Yeah, we should definitely look at that for the DevDAO website. It'd be very cool to have a perma storage backup of it. Yeah, if you guys are up for helping with that, I'm sure Mulford and Andre would love to see how you guys do it.
Yeah, I'm down. Sure.
Whoop, whoop. Does anyone else have any other questions? Oh, Greg's writing. Did someone try and speak a minute ago, or?
I think it was just me coughing.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hi.
I did.
Oh, about the smart contracts, I don't know if you dive into it yet, but what is the underlying asset that they use? Do they use our tokens for their inner workings? Is it EVM compatible?
So they don't. You use AR tokens to initialize a contract. I haven't figured it out where you can use bundler or anything like that. So to initialize a contract, you use Arweave tokens, and then if you want to call that contract, you can use bundler, because for whatever reason, if you initialize a contract with bundler, it can't query through the bundled transactions and find the specific contract. Whereas if you use the Arweave token, you can. So that answers that part of it. It's compatible with Ethereum, Solana. There's a couple. I just wrote about it on my Twitter, or like tweeted something about it. But yeah, it's not. It's agnostic. They're just trying to figure out how to make it more compatible with the rest of the blockchain space.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, Greg, I think you can point it to the website like Mantis Clone said, but you have to upload, like you'll have to update the pointer every single time. So that could be tedious and will probably cost money each and every single time. But if your website is not going to change that often and you just want to host like one version of the website that's going to stay there forever or for a long time, then I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, you could just have it as like certainly have it as like a text record. And you looks like Mantis clones. You could do the link thing where you map that to a website and it reroutes as well. Nice, cool. It's amazing, Dhaitwat. Is there any final questions before we wrap up the recording? Going once. Oh, Phil, going twice. Cool, done. Yeah, thanks, Dhaitwat, man. That was amazing. I learned so much then, and massive shout for live coding us through it. I think it was really, really good and very, very informative. And yeah, man, great stuff. Well done.
Thanks for having me, man. It's truly an honor. Like I learned everything about Web3 in this DAO, so like it's really my pleasure to be able to do this.
Love it, mate. Everyone's always happy to hear that, right? Success stories out of the DAO, I think, is one of most people's here's favorite thing. And then shout out to Ropats again for getting all of this stuff going and organizing it and making it happen, and giving people the space and the platform to share and learn. I believe we have another workshop in next week. I can't remember off the top of my head what the focus is, but Ropats, if you want to drop a note into the chat, and we'll get an event spun up for that and announced hopefully in the next couple of days, as soon as we've got the details confirmed. But enjoy your holiday in Bali, Dhaitwat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where are you off to now? Are you going to bed, or are you going out, or?
I think I'm gonna meet up with Carlo. It's very late, like it's 1 a.m., but I think we're going to meet up because he's going to fly out tomorrow. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Sweet, man. Well, enjoy it. Have a great time. And thanks again. And I'll hit you up in the DMs about sort of descriptions for the video and stuff.
Sure, man.
See you, dude. Have a good one.
See you guys. Thanks for attending.
Thank you.